So season 2 of The Wheel of Time. Yes. Something I'd like to kick off with that starts in your episodes, Thomas, and certainly continues in yours, Sanaa, is everyone feels like alone, it feels like, and then ends up with an unlikely friendship, like Perrin and Elias, or Nynaeve and Leanne. We won't call that a friendship, but what is it like depicting that kind of more, it's not loud, it's not a battle, but there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of emotion.
Yeah, I mean, solitude is in the title of episode 1. It's very much an introspective view of the characters. They're all separated for the first time, and so they're now facing the responsibility and the challenges of being Ta'veren alone. And so Rand is completely in exile, has disappeared, and so it gives us a chance to really travel with the other characters. So Perrin, away with Loial, is facing his own kind of loss, his own grief about his wife, even though they're on the mission to find the Horn of Valere. Nynaeve and Egwene are novices in the White Tower, so they are again facing those challenges. Nynaeve doesn't really want to be there. Egwene wants to be an Aes Sedai, wants to meet that challenge, and wants to be a good student, but is losing Nynaeve. So there's a sense of loss in their relationship. They're analysing who their friendship is a central part of that. Mat has also disappeared and turns up as a prisoner with the Red Ajah. So they're all facing new challenges, and the Forsaken are coming, the Dark Friends are coming, and we know right from the beginning of 201 that the Dark Friends are assembling to try and wrestle with the fact that Rand al'Thor is now the Dragon Reborn.
And I think the key thing for us is really being intimate with the characters, and as filmmakers capturing those moments. We introduce a lot of new worlds and a lot of new characters, but we never want it to be lost in that. We really try to stay within the perspective of each character so we feel what they're going through. And therefore you have season 2 where there's a lot of more developed and intimate character work while thrusting them into these big and very high octane and visual scope of the show. So I think season 2, as well as The Danger, is more of that.
I feel so bad for Lan. And while speaking of someone struggling, I'm like, oh, you're just not. Yeah, it's not going well.
Moiraine and Lan are in their own crisis where Moiraine has lost the ability to channel. That's been stripped away from her by Ishamael, the Eye of the World. Lan has had his bond broken with Moiraine for the first time, can't get through to her, and she is operating without telling him what's going on. So she's trying to discover more information about the Quendia and what these broken seals mean and who has been released. So she's working with her agents to try and find that out, but won't share that information with Lan. So their relationship is in a kind of strange broken place where they were almost like twins up to a point. So
it hurts.
It's so interesting to explore these other aspects of the characters. It's that I felt coming into the show fresh for series 2 that was a really new aspect to the show, is to see the vulnerability and to see, I guess, the darker sides, and alongside that meant that we were going to go deeper. We were going to see other sides to the characters. So yeah, it was really exciting.
I was saying, even with other, I think in 3 or 4, by the time we meet Alana's family, seeing more of an Aes Sedai than just, this title. We see her more with her warders. We see more of relationships, and it's they're people too.
Well, I think the approach is that these characters are very real and very much like us. I really want to feel that when you watch it, that you see yourself in different aspects, and I think that's what the Wheel of Time series and the Jordan books give you, almost a great detailed, deep-rooted complexity of characters that we can really relate to. I mean, I love seeing the backgrounds of Moiraine and the background of Alana, and being able to understand what fuels them. Because ultimately, what I love about the way we start the season is that we also see another side of Moiraine, which is more vulnerable. There is more of a deep introspection. So we start there, and then it's unleashed into this kind of huge saga.
Yeah, and part of that in season 2, I mean, there's the Shan-Chan, of course, but you mentioned the Forsaken. We know who Ishmael is now. We know Lanfear is being Lanfear and being very insidious. What was it like bringing that, like, such a powerful threat in concert with the Shan-Chan in?
It's very intricate and tricky when bringing in like the different dark forces, because at the same time, when we're directing these scenes and kind of creating the scope of that, we don't want to tip the hat. So
Right.
it has to be, especially for a viewer who's never read the books, they should not know who a dark friend is going to be. So that is finding that fine balance of being subtle, but also we want to create an environment where you rewatch the scene and you go, oh my God, that's the sign. So, I kind of approach the scenes, especially later on, because there's a lot of things that are revealed throughout the season until the finale, that when you rewatch the show, you'll be able to kind of pinpoint and see those little eggs.
I'd add to that, we're bringing in some big series regulars into series 2. So we have Celine, Natasha O'Keefe coming in. We have Verin, Mira Sayal, incredible actors coming in to play those parts. We have Gary Beadle coming in to play Elias, and Rima Tawiata coming in to play Sheriam. All of these characters are series regulars who run through a lot of the books, and they also, have different relationships to Rand al'Thor and to Moiraine. They have big parts to play in the destiny of these characters, and they draw out different aspects of the characters going forward. So really exciting to be part of this casting process where we're pulling people from everywhere to create this world, this very diverse cast, this very international cast, which is genuine. The Wheel of Time is so broad, it's so international as a universe. We see all of these different cultures represented, and the characters are now drawn away from each other into these new cultures which are very delineated, very different from each other, like the Shan-Chan, like Atuan's Mill, like Kyrian. We're pulling the characters apart as they take on the new responsibilities.
And what I love about the Wheel of Time world is that, for example, Ferris, who plays Ishmael,
he's so good.
and we know he's the Forsaken. He does it in such a way, and then and also the writing kind of supports that, where you really feel for him. And I think that's what I love about the characters in Wheel of Time, is that there's that moral ambiguity, and also whether you're part of the Dark Friends or not, we really are able to see a three-dimensional look at the character. So we're not as judgy. We're not just, oh, that's the villain, that's not the villain. We kind of say, oh, I see why he feels this way. And sometimes you're leaning in a hair too much. You're like, oh, I can't believe I really feel bad for this guy at this point.
Well, the adaptation of the Dark Friend prologue set that up, where he talks to the little girl about monsters.
Yes, indeed. I love shooting that scene with little Amy Sharp, the 8-year-old girl, and Ferris. And we see Padam Fain in that scene. We see the eggs placed for the other characters, like who is the Black Aja, who's the Shainar, and who's the Tuatan. We know the Dark Friends are coming. We know we've got clues now as to who they might be. And Series 2 takes us towards those characters and finding out who those Dark Friends are.
I'm excited. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. I also absolutely noticed the crescent moon on Celine's on the sign. I was like, I see what you're doing there.
And on her wardrobe, we did moonlight stitching on all of her wardrobe.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you both.